Welcome to Audio Movie Recap. Today we are traveling to the heart of Paris for a story about an unlikely culinary genius who proves that great art can come from the most unexpected places. This is the complete, flavorful story of the 2007 Pixar masterpiece Ratatouille. The story belongs to Remy, a small, blue-gray rat with an extraordinarily refined sense of smell and taste. While his brother Emile is content eating garbage, and his father Django views food purely as fuel for survival, Remy dreams of culinary perfection. He is obsessed with the late legendary French chef Auguste Gusteau, whose life motto is famous across France: anyone can cook. Remy spends his time sneaking into the kitchen of an elderly woman's countryside cottage to read Gusteau's cookbooks and watch him on television. Remy's unique talent earns him the job of poison checker for his rat colony, sniffing thousands of pieces of garbage to protect his family from rodent traps. But Remy wants more than survival. One afternoon, he and Emile sneak onto the old woman's roof to smoke a piece of mushroom and cheese over a chimney using lightning. A sudden bolt strikes them, cooking the food perfectly, but the explosion alerts the elderly woman. She grabs a shotgun and fires wildly, blasting the ceiling down. The impact reveals the massive colony of hundreds of rats hiding in her attic. A chaotic evacuation ensues. The rats flee to a nearby river, boarding makeshift boats made of old crates. In the frantic darkness and pouring rain, Remy scrambles back to save Gusteau's cookbook. He gets separated from his family, falling into the roaring waters of a drainage pipe. Lost and completely alone, Remy floats deep into the dark subterranean sewers beneath the earth. Days pass. Remy sits in the damp darkness, starving and discouraged. Suddenly, the image of Gusteau on the cover of his book comes alive as a figment of Remy's imagination. The tiny, glowing spirit of Gusteau encourages Remy to stop feeling sorry for himself and climb upward. Remy climbs through the plumbing, emerges from a roof tile, and gasps. He is in Paris, looking out at the shimmering lights of the Eiffel Tower. Even better, he has landed directly above Gusteau's flagship restaurant. Remy peers down through the glass skylight into the bustling, high-energy kitchen. He witnesses a nervous, clumsy young man named Alfredo Linguini arrive with a letter of introduction from his late mother, an old friend of Gusteau. The ruthless, short-statured head chef Skinner begrudgingly hires Linguini as a garbage boy. While cleaning, the clumsy Linguini accidentally knocks over a massive pot of soup. In a panic, he tries to fix it by blindly throwing random ingredients into the pot: carrots, onions, red wine, and a handful of random spices, effectively ruining the broth. Horrified by this culinary desecration, Remy slips through the window and sneaks onto the counter. Guided by his instincts, Remy dashes across the hot stove, tossing in fresh parsley, drops of cream, and select leeks, transforming the ruined soup into a fragrant masterpiece. Linguini catches Remy just as Skinner notices someone has tampered with the soup. Before Skinner can dump the broth, the restaurant's cold, intimidating food critic, Soline Leclerc, takes a spoonful. The rich, velvety soup is a triumph. Skinner assumes Linguini is a secret genius and demands he recreate the soup, but he orders Linguini to secretly dispose of the rat outside. Down by the River Seine, Linguini opens the jar to drown Remy, but he stops. He realizes the rat understands human speech. Linguini begs the tiny rodent for help, confessing that he cannot cook to save his life. Remy, desperate to stay in a kitchen, nods in agreement. They return to Linguini's tiny, cramped apartment to figure out how to work together. They quickly discover that a rat in a kitchen is a death sentence for a restaurant. However, while sleeping, Linguini accidentally pulls Remy's hair, causing Linguini's arm to jerk violently. They realize that by pulling specific tufts of Linguini's hair hidden under his chef's hat, Remy can control Linguini's limbs like a puppeteer controlling a marionette. The next morning, the bizarre training begins. In a series of chaotic, exhausting trials in the apartment, Remy learns to navigate Linguini's body, controlling his hands to chop vegetables, stir pots, and balance hot pans, all while Remy remains completely hidden beneath the white canvas of the chef's toque. Back at the restaurant, the duo is assigned to work with Colette Tattoo, the only female cook in the kitchen. Colette is fierce, hardened, and fiercely protective of her position, lecturing Linguini on the brutal, fast-paced nature of high-end French cuisine. Under Remy's silent guidance, Linguini mimics her perfectly, earning her respect. The soup is a massive success, revitalizing the struggling restaurant. But Skinner remains deeply suspicious. He notices Linguini's eyes constantly darting upward toward his hat. Skinner invites Linguini to his office, plying him with expensive wine for hours, trying to get him to slip up and reveal his secret. But Remy manages to keep the drunken Linguini coherent enough to avoid detection. While exploring the restaurant's alleyway, Remy is shocked to find his brother, Emile, foraging in a dumpster. Emile takes Remy back to the colony, where Django is overjoyed to see his son alive. Django warns Remy that humans are dangerous, taking him to an exterminator's window filled with dead rats caught in traps to show him the reality of human cruelty. But Remy refuses to leave Paris, arguing that the world can change if they choose to create instead of just taking. Skinner's suspicion turns to panic when he reviews the letter from Linguini's mother. He discovers that Linguini is actually Gusteau's biological son. According to Gusteau's will, if an heir does not claim the business within a year of his death, Skinner inherits the restaurant. The deadline is only days away. One afternoon, Remy spots Skinner reading the documents. Realizing what is at stake, Remy darts across the office, snatches the paperwork and the legal will, and flees. A wild, high-speed chase erupts through the streets of Paris. Remy dodges scooter tires, leaps over cobblestones, and dives through traffic, finally delivering the papers to Linguini. Skinner is fired, and Linguini is officially declared the owner of Gusteau's. With newfound wealth comes a massive shift. Linguini moves into a lavish apartment, buys expensive suits, and begins to take all the credit for the restaurant's success. Straining his partnership with Remy, the tension explodes when Linguini conducts a press interview, completely ignoring the little rat who made it all possible. Furious, Remy retaliates by opening the restaurant's storerooms to his entire hungry rat colony at night. Linguini catches them in the act, feels deeply betrayed, and throws Remy out into the rain, shouting that he is nothing but a rat. The timing could not be worse. The most feared, ruthless food critic in France, Anton Ego, a pale, gaunt man who lives in a coffin-shaped office, announces he is coming to review Gusteau's. Ego's previous negative review stripped the restaurant of a star, contributing to Gusteau's death. Before the dinner rush, Skinner traps Remy in a cage in the alley, planning to use him to create a line of cheap frozen food under Gusteau's name. Fortunately, Django and Emile orchestrate a daring rescue, using a heavy brick to shatter the cage. Remy rushes back to the kitchen to find total panic. Ego has ordered his meal, and a broken, weeping Linguini confesses the absolute truth to Colette and the rest of the staff. He cannot cook, and a rat is the true chef. Horrified and disgusted by the health violation, the entire kitchen staff walks out, leaving Linguini alone in the empty kitchen. Just as all hope seems lost, Remy steps out onto the stainless steel counter. Behind him, the darkness of the alley opens, and hundreds of rats from Django's colony march into the kitchen, ready to work. Remy takes total command, acting as the head chef. He organizes the rodents into specialized teams. One group washes their paws in a sterilization bath, another rolls out dough, while a third team uses blowtorches to sear meat. Linguini puts on roller skates, acting as the sole waiter to serve the dining room. Colette, having a change of heart after remembering Gusteau's motto, returns to the kitchen. She is stunned by the sight of hundreds of rodents cooking, but she joins them, working directly with Remy to prepare the main course for Anton Ego. Remy decides to cook something simple, rustic, and traditional, ratatouille, a basic peasant stew of squash and eggplant. Colette doubts the choice for a high-end critic, but she follows Remy's meticulous layout, slicing the vegetables into perfect translucent discs and layering them in a stunning concentric spiral pattern over a rich pepper sauce. Linguini delivers the steaming plate to Ego. The somber critic takes a single bite. Instantly, the camera of his mind flashes back decades. He is a little boy in a sunlit countryside cottage, crying over a broken bicycle. His mother smiles, handing him a warm bowl of homemade ratatouille. The rich, familiar flavor melts away Ego's decades of cynicism. His pen drops to the floor. He devours the entire plate, demanding to meet the chef. Linguini and Colette make him wait until the restaurant is empty. They lead Remy out onto the counter. Ego sits in absolute silence as they explain the entire story. He leaves without saying a word. The next morning, Ego's review published. It is a beautiful poetic defense of art, concluding with the words, "In the past, I have made no secret of my disdain for Chef Gusteau's famous motto, 'Anyone can cook.' But I realize only now do I truly understand what he meant. Not everyone can become a great artist, but a great artist can come from anywhere." The health department eventually closes Gusteau's down due to the rodent presence, and Ego loses his job as a critic after endorsing the establishment. But the story ends in triumph. With Ego's financial backing, Linguini, Colette, and Remy open a small, incredibly popular bistro called Le Ratatouille. The bistro features a custom miniature dining area in the rafters specifically for the rat colony, where they are served gourmet meals every night. And in the kitchen below, Remy stands proudly on Linguini's head beneath his white chef's hat, finally recognized, finally home, and cooking the finest food in Paris. Disclaimer, this video is an independent fan-made audio recap created for educational and entertainment purposes. Ratatouille and all associated characters, plotlines, and creative assets are the intellectual property of Pixar Animation Studios and Walt Disney Studios. This channel does not claim ownership over the source material and encourages everyone to watch the original film on official streaming platforms.